And I'm going to share my screen. Gail, are you okay to do the opening, or I know you're in your
sure
phone.
can.
That would be wonderful.
I can.
Okay.
Did you want me to do that now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, I've noticed a few other elders that are, it's not our way, but it's not for me to say because I'm not the one who makes protocol on how to pray. But I usually hear them saying, close your eyes and bow your head down. But to me, that's not our way. That's colonized way. Because when we pray, like when I used to watch my grandmother pray, she used to look straight up and pray because she's praying to Creator with her eyes wide open. And I noticed that in church, that is what they're told to do, is that close your eyes and bow your head. Like we're not praying down, we're praying up to Creator. So I just thought I'd throw that in and just to, I'm not trying to change anybody's way, but I truly believe this is our way of being proud and praying towards Creator when we're looking up and talking to Creator in our own way. So with that, I'll do an opening prayer in my language, Ojibwe, and I'm so grateful that I never forgot my language. I know there's lots of people who have lost their language and wish that they could get it back, but it's not their fault. It's just the circumstance that they've been going through. But Creator hears us, and doesn't matter what language we speak. Creator hears our prayer, and they're powerful. What's the echoing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay.
I think
Kanina na konti ko makatema ko to te mi west nung git ngi sama ni tu no nung ha mat sean manung ko ke no ga pa me ya at chop mato chigiti magi no to ke ge ta pete sa nagi se nung ko maga pa me ma ko ye ha ko sin ga pa me se ka chni bari kitne shnabe me na nge ya ko se alsumno ini se ko ato ya ko sin maga pa me se kinda sa ke nagi yo ita tamago ni chingi sama ni tu me jaga ko chmi gon tau chi ita sama ngi to ko ge no ko me sena ne so me so me sena que no maga papa me ya wat magi mama na king mi ga que no no kana ga ta so kana ge no cha pena muno to into mano ge no cha bigi te magi na ku ta singa go che mag nga que ne ge a we se ke ga cho ni ken ngo ga ichi mat magi to magi mama na king mi ge eta que no kum senan te bigi gize ta no ge me so me senan ha we gize Mingi kene pena muna tongi togi semane to sa wete an. Mitase no mo ima mo biangi semane togi rento migo mano chbi wichi yang. Kira ke gocha ko yakopan tamang mina ko ikchaka gi gitoang. Ta ko ke gocha nun tamang. Ta unte inaning chimustoang mina manchun. Mina sa wete an gi semane to mano ka kinomai ko ga pa me ya ke no. Ke ga musto na wa we gi semane to me sa gocha minan. Kite magi na isinam ni nento maga pa me ya angya ba. Mitasi kinagi ugin chingi tatama ugi semane tu migi wetanis niga pia nang minogi wet nang wapa nang sugu sawa nang meti bides nung tago siang semane tu mano nung tago ang ano naman siyo tago gi semane tu etis minogi mamana na king magapa me ya mesa ko ete an chigi chigi go ni pe ka ba chito meta wa chwani king cho ko kanobo kanamenta mengo ni pe Mungkin ko ako sa mana anak ni ko kan sekarang aja tua tua ni bis kan ni pengen tap mati sim ni sa mana itu memang aku kena coba kisah itu saya wete saya kena ke ugi ni singe ka tema aku sa mana itu kena ke uci minus saya mana mau kita cinta man saya aku cuma itu sa mana itu mana kita magi na isinam tahu kung ko ikat mo seot wisang kuma minup matsen kami kamu atau mami kanang ano guys toat mano chako kostega kinagi yoga go chigewat inas kita pena no tago que se mane tu no maiga sean mesa go ete Tau mano ka musto na wa kakaikitawan. Kung may tagagan sa tatamuat. Kung saan ito, kung ganis sa tatasiho, mano ginawa musto na ute, mga kunagata sintaman. Tapos kinagawa itatamago kinenching siya man ito. Mano pisos sinam, wichos sinam. Pisaw inimis sinam, nung tao sinam, kway kuisos sinam. Miigwet, itbigay siya man ito, kapit ang tao yan, it's miigwet. Thank you. So in translation, was what I prayed for was not to forget about the water, which is so important to us. Without the water, we wouldn't exist. And it's the woman that protects the water and clarifies it with Creator's help. So we put everything in Creator's hand, and the grandmothers, the grandfathers, and all the spirits that I've left. I asked them to come in and help us so we can have a good vision, hear good things, feel good things in our heart, speak the right thing, and care for one another, and to get rid of this illness that's causing so much death in our people. So I humbly asked Creator if we could put everything in his hands. So in this meeting that we can all feel good about ourselves, love one another, and care for each other, and walk together the best way that we can with our grandmothers and our grandfathers' help, with also the grandmother moon, grandfather sun, and that we're heard in all four directions, that everybody finds a good way in their good way of life on the red road, that they find their way. And we ask for their help, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do what the things that we are going to be doing. And also all our spirit animals that we all depend on, not to forget about them too, to honor them. And they come in and help us, and we ask for their help. So with that, also not to forget about all the other people, like the ones that are incarcerated, the ones that are in a hospital, everybody that's fighting for their life, and everybody else that's feeling the heartache because of their families that they cannot help because of this pandemic. And we turn to Creator for that. Because for myself, that's what I did. All the medicines I had, everything, my jingle dress, my drum, I depended on all that to continue living. And I seriously thought I wasn't going to make it, because this is a really wicked pandemic that we're experiencing. And I can't believe that I'm still sitting here talking the way I am, especially after going through all that, thinking that this is it for me. I'm not going to survive this, because of my immune system's not all that great. So I figured that was the end for me. But I never gave up. I chose to fight, and I used all the medicines that I could find. I had no strength. I forced myself to go and get these medicines and use them. So with that, I hope nobody else gets that COVID. It's really wicked to have, really hard to fight. And I think it's about time that it goes back up to the universe where it belongs. Leave us alone, let us live our life. So that was all in the prayer in Ojibwe. Miigwech for listening.
Wow, thank you, Gail. We're also grateful as well that you tapped into your fighting spirit and beat this. And that was just beautiful. I'm glad that you also remember your traditional language and that you're able to share it with us in this way, because it adds so much, I think, to our healing. You know, it's part of who we are. And as we're with VOW and our work with CAN, using culture and ceremony as a foundation of healing, I think we're really just blessed to have you as part of our group.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be anywhere else.
And I think as we come to order here, I think that there's a few people that are still missing. In fact, most of us are still missing. I was just wanted to do a brief land acknowledgement. Most of you know that I am a Métis from Treaty 1 territory, born in St. Boniface. And I acknowledge with respect the Semiahmoo and other Coast Salish peoples on whose traditional territory I currently live and work here in White Rock, BC, and whose historical relationships with the land continue to this day. And I thought a lot about this, but each time we do an acknowledgement, I also want to acknowledge the systemic erasure of many of the nations. As we're recognizing those nations that are still among us, there are many nations that don't exist anymore. So, and I also want to acknowledge and offer gratitude to all of you that are here today in the land and waters on which you stand upon. Thank you, Gail, for acknowledging the water in your prayer as well. Also, with regard to the work we're doing, I want to acknowledge the impacts of colonization and the associated policies that continue to impact peoples across the land. Can addresses, as I mentioned, HIV and the other STBBIs through a holistic approach embraced by culture since 1997. So it's also CAN's 25th anniversary this year. I've asked the question what we are going to do to acknowledge that, and that's not, I don't think we have a plan yet, but I'm sure we'll be doing something special during the year. We have with us here, and what's the buzzing? Can everybody else hear that buzzing?
Yep, I could hear it. Somebody's trying to connect. I think that's what it is.
Let's see.
Somebody's trying to connect
Everyone,
their audio.
just, if you're not talking, maybe just keep your phone muted. Or maybe I could just mute everybody. And then you'll have to unmute yourselves. Everyone knows how to unmute themselves, right, at this point? Okay. So before we get into it, I thought, I don't know if
Should we also
everyone...
shut the cameras?
What's that?
Should we also shut the cameras?
Cameras are okay to have on.
Maybe somebody has two things going at the same time, and that interaction from that wave channel from the other device or whatever.
I think it's gone now.
Okay.
Can you guys hear it?
Yeah, the echoing stopped.
Good. Okay, so I'm not sure.
I think we should that right now mute.
I'm not sure if you all have had a chance to read our terms of reference. As you know, I think most of you know, I've only been with CAN for 6 months now, just, well, I guess almost 8 months now, time flies. And so I was working with some of the original people that were with CAN when it first started out in about 2007, I think, is what I was able to figure out anyway. And we kind of redid our terms of reference, and I've shared that with everyone by email. And I know it's some heavy reading, but at some point it would be good for you to be familiar with what it is that we're doing here. So I thought just I would review our mission and vision statement for VOW, which Gail and Claudette and myself revised just last week, the mission part of it anyway. So our vision is building healthy communities that embrace and honor Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit women of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, no matter where they are on their healing journey. And our mission, so the action part of the vision, is that ultimately we represent thousands of Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit women in Canada on their healing journeys. And we're empowering them with actions that guide holistic healing in communities, amplify their voices, especially with regard to HIV, AIDS, Hep C, and the STBBIs, TB, mental health and related comorbidities. I wonder if we should be adding syphilis to that, but we can talk about that in a bit. And what we added to the mission statement, which I think is really powerful and can really set us on a course of the work ahead, is we are decolonizing healthcare for ourselves and our communities. So Communities, Alliances, and Networks is all about building relationships with entities that serve Indigenous people, whether it's government, national, provincial, or local NGOs and associations. But let's figure out first who we are and who we're talking to. So get to know each other a bit, and then we'll talk about what we're saying, when we say it, and how we're saying it. So the Women of VOW, the terms of reference, and ultimately what came from CAN's board of directors is there are 12 women maximum on this standing committee, because we're not just a group of women. We actually, our responsibility is to report back to the board what we're doing and how we're engaging and what sort of impact we're having in community. But we can work with limitless numbers of participants. Like I say, we are ultimately representing thousands of Indigenous women and helping them bring back information to their own communities. When you become a member of VOW, you are serving for a 1-2-year term, and then you have the option to serve a second term, and that second term can be 2 years or 3 years, depending on your comfort level. There's a bunch of rules and whatnot in the terms of reference, but which does state actually in terms of meeting participation, no one's ever allowed to miss a meeting, which I think I wasn't able to change that, but I think that we can all agree, and we've talked about it amongst us, us being Gail and Claudette and Valerie Nicholson, that isn't really feasible. So if you miss more than 2 meetings in a row, you should be messaging us in advance, and more than that would I guess come to the meeting and to the chair of VOW. And those roles and responsibilities haven't been solidified yet. So let's, I'm going to turn off the share screen and just ask folks to give a short 2-minute intro to who they are. We'll start with Gail, and I'm not sure if Claudette's here yet or not, and then we'll go to Charlotte. There we go. I want to see your faces. I can't see faces when I'm doing that on a slideshow. So Gail, are you able to talk again? Put you in the hot seat. She's busy. Oh,
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool.
I only see your mouth moving. I don't hear you.
I'm not talking.
Oh, what did you want me to do?
We're just going to do a roundtable of introductions. I think all of us know each other, but we were going to have, well, Charlotte's new to our group.
Yeah.
Some of you might know her already, but we were going to have a number of other new people here, but we'll record it so that they can,
Yes.
we're recording it so they can hear the intros.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think the connection's bad, Gail. We can't really hear you. Sounds like a song playing. She's musical.
Brrrring.
Maybe you have to move to a different location. And we'll get Charlotte to do an intro. Charlotte, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi. I'm gonna go off camera here. Name is Charlotte. I am of the Tsimshian Nation, born and raised in Prince Rupert, BC. And yeah, I've been just taking it easy, laying low, going through so many different health issues right now, but nothing to keep me down. I always get back up. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really good committee to be on. I'm really honored to be a part of it. I live in Vancouver, the Squamish and Musqueam Nation, unceded territory. And yeah, I'm just relaxing right now. I had to rush home to try and get on here, and I'm here, yay! Thanks. Oh, is there anything else?
Whatever. No, that's fine. That's great. And thanks.
Andrea, I see that your iPhone is on Zoom too, so maybe that's why it's.
It might have been, but I moved the phone. I just couldn't see anything when I'm doing the slideshow. So
Oh, okay.
thanks. So who do we have next? I just did it in alphabetical order. I did our two grandmothers, Gail and Claudette, who've been with VOW before. I don't think Claudette's here yet. Charlotte, Debbie's not here. She's had a job interview and hopefully she'll be here soon. And Favel, and I guess Denise isn't coming. I have Denise as an ex officio member of our committee because she is the chair, or I guess the co-chair, because Gail is also a co-chair of the CAN Board of Directors. So I'm not sure if she's chair or co-chair. Gail, do you know?
I don't think Gail's on the call anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see Gail on anymore.
Okay, so she's probably driving to a new location. So we'll have Anne and then Melissa.
Hi, my name's Ann Favel. I'm a Cree from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I guess you could say I was born here, but I don't know if I was raised here. But I did live here for quite some time because I was a traveling Wilbury. Anyways, I am with Sisters of Fire. It's a new organization of women and trans that got together. We're trying to make it take off, and but we do stick together and support each other. And I'm also in school, taking child and youth at Nadinaway, and I've been involved with CAN for I'm not sure, for a while, and it just seems like everything that's thrown at me dealing with HIV since I don't know when, about 7 years ago, I've been trying to get involved, and it just seems like it's a passion that I need to get out there and try to do something with the story that I have about it. And yeah, hopefully, and I'm very happy to be a part of Voices of Women. because I do believe I got a loud voice. And one that needs to be heard, I think. Okay, thank you.
Totally agree with that. Loud voice, not really, but powerful voice. But yeah, glad you're here too. Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I am a Métis Jewish woman here in Winnipeg. Let's see. So I was born in Winnipeg and I lived in the West Coast for a number of years. And then I moved back to Winnipeg where I started on my healing journey and really got I pretty much believe that if it wasn't for Indigenous culture and the Indigenous community, I wouldn't be where I'm at in life. And where I'm at in life is taking leadership roles in the Indigenous HIV community through research. And through my research, I also support some of the women with lived experience that belong to some of the groups with Gani Kanichak. And so I'm learning a lot, and that's where I really want to make my difference is within the research. Like I'm open about being positive, and I will tell my story at a point, but I really want to change things, like change the way testing's done, and have peers sit at those tables and be and learn the skills that the academics learn. So build my personal development and stuff like that. So I'm on a new journey here in HIV research, and I think I'm having a good time. Oh, and I'm also learning cultural stuff. So I'm going to be learning how to facilitate cedar baths, which is so exciting.
Okay, cool. That's awesome, Melissa. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about cedar bath. And as we were talking just before the meeting started, that these are skill sets and resources that we can start to profile in community for other organizations that serve Indigenous people. VOW is about Indigenous women, but ultimately, that is our mandate, is to serve communities, alliances, and networks with regard to HIV and other STBBIs. So unfortunately, I guess we don't have anyone else here today. And I'm hoping that a couple of them that I know were super interested will be able to participate, because I think they have a lot of value that they can add. But I think already, we have a pretty spectacular group here. And I know that Claudette is staying on. She just had a funding meeting that was going long. So on that note, I'm going to share my screen again. And because I put everything PowerPoint, which I don't usually do, not usually that formal, but that's not what I wanted to share. Oh, it's still coming up there. Let's see. Okay, so so this is just an overview of what we are doing this year. I'm kind of glad we have the extra time because I can go into a little bit more detail. Basically, I was just going to ask you to eyeball this. I think I've emailed these dates to everybody, except I've added 2 dates. I just found out about a leadership gathering that's taking place in August or September in Batoche, and that will be a land-based gathering. So that's new to the list. And I added a gender-based violence event in November. which is, that was our first event that we did as a collective in 2021 during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So coming up shortly, we have the International Women's Day, and I think that the world is ripe to hear from Indigenous women. What I hear in mainstream media and just on social media is very little about Indigenous women when it comes to International Women's Day, and I think that you know, times are changing, and I think that we can add our voice. My idea, and this was one of the first things that I did, my predecessor, or actually there was a person in between us, but many of you will know Doris Pelche, and she was the founder of the Voices of Women from within CAN, and there were a matriarch that brought the group together, and that are no longer with CAN. But Doris was gifted a beautiful painting from CAN for her in honor and in celebration of her receiving an honorary doctorate from the University of Ottawa, I believe it was. And so CAN has made posters of this beautiful warrior woman on a horse, and it's painted by a Saskatchewan artist. And so the vision of our CEO was, she wants to sell copies of this painting as a fundraiser. And I said, this would be perfect for Women's Day. The messaging on the back of the prints, I'm waiting for that still to be done. I literally put that in last July, and I haven't got it back yet. But hopefully that will be soon, and we can launch sales of this beautiful poster, and in doing so also begin, you know, continue to put VOW and CAN's name out there in the community. And we'll have a virtual gathering of some kind. So if any of you have thoughts on what that could be, I welcome that. Earth Day is in April, and I don't think I'm going to go into that. Gail started off in a good way, again, giving us the prayer about women being water protectors and women as land protectors. And, you know, she's the great mother. And as women, I think that our voices collectively can speak for, you know, in defense of Mother Earth. And we can talk more about that later. I'm going to bypass the Wise Practices event, which is going to be held in Winnipeg. That's a CAN event that takes place every 2 years. And I want to bypass that because if we talk about the AIDS 2022 conference, we are basically going to do the same and maybe some hands-on skirt making at Wise Practices. So I don't know if you all had a chance to read through the abstract that was submitted this week from VOW, and that is the basis on which hopefully your scholarships, if you've submitted them with VOW, will be approved by the committee on the basis. It'll improve your chances at least by being attached to this project. So, so let's just talk about AIDS 2022, because I think the other events are far enough ahead. I mentioned the possible, well, there will be a gathering, and it's possibly in Batoche. We're waiting to hear from Batoche whether it can be confirmed. And the AGM and gender-based violence and IAW are far enough ahead. But suffice it to say that ribbon skirt making, it looks like, will be the sort of the foundation practice for the year for VOW. And we're going to integrate that into all of our work as a tool to engage and to learn and to heal and to tell stories. And when I looked at the various some of the previous presentations and what we could feasibly do with our group, and editing our terms of reference to include that we are decolonizing healthcare on behalf of ourselves and our communities, then that is a really a great topic for storytelling and conversation, and I think will keep us busy with our skirt making. And those reflections could be really invaluable as a communication tool to the delegates that attend AIDS 2022. So very roughly, what, you know, I've spoken with Charlotte. Sorry, not Charlotte. I have spoken to you, Charlotte, but I was thinking Gail and Elder Albert and our CEO, Margaret. And I've talked a little bit to Claudette about this as well. And so hey, Claudette.
I am so
You made
sorry
it.
I'm late. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I've been in meetings since 8 o'clock and had maybe 5-10 minutes, a pee break, a water
Oh
break.
my gosh, that's brutal.
So I'm sorry. I did see all the messages, so I'm like, okay, Kate,
We're just
almost done.
glad. We're just glad you're here.
Thanks.
And when I'm finished blabbing on, we'll let you do your introduction. I'm actually recording this meeting so that we can share it with the people that weren't able to be here. But as for AIDS 2022 and ribbon skirt making, the title of our abstract was The Voices of Women Decolonizing Healthcare Through Ribbon Skirt Making. And how do we show that? How do we prove that with our research? Well, I think it's all about the dialogue. You know, we're not getting data per se, we're getting qualitative data that about how many people are going to listen to our stories, how many skirts we make, how we, it's going to be a journey. And I think it will be a beautiful journey, I'm hoping. And so the process very roughly looks like we have Elder Harriet Prince, who I believe has sacred teachings on ribbon skirt making. And she handily lives about 20 minutes away from me. And she will be spending most of the summer at Gail's house. So we can run some workshops on ribbon skirt making and get her teachings. And I also want to document this process with video and share that with our communities, alliances, and networks, right? And so, and see what happens. Now, I was trying to figure out, because I don't have a budget yet, as to how we would purchase, you know, fabric, sewing machines, etc. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a couple of longer workshops with Harriet's machines here in BC. She's not going to be traveling with her sewing machines to Winnipeg. Gail has a sewing machine and we'll figure that out. But the teachings and the work, some of it which can be done by hand, which kind of led me to thinking that why don't we work on one skirt initially together, where all the members of VOW make a VOW skirt. And it will be on display at the event if we are successful in our proposal, in our abstract proposal. And we'll have other skirts. We're allowed up to 12 or 13 skirts in the space that we have to display. And actually it has to be precisely whatever the number I put in, 12 or 13, because they don't want any more and they don't want any less. They're all about being on point. So, but we'll be able to fulfill that, I'm sure. But as VOW is starting off anew, we want to create a sacred bundle. And that sacred bundle will be medicine for everyone on this committee. And we will share it across the land. And we will all bring something to it. But wouldn't it be a beautiful thing to make a skirt together? And then when that bundle comes to you, we've asked CAN for a drum, because CAN has some drums, and I believe they have CAN's beautiful new logo on it. and there'll be other medicines in there. I'm going to play a song at the end when we do our closing, because I got a recording back in December from one of our resident elders, Maggie Paul. She has the most beautiful voice, and there is not a song she doesn't know, literally. And I asked her about songs for voices of women, and she was like, oh, the Women Standing Strong, and I think it's called Protecting Mother Earth. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. So I have a recording of her singing both of those songs. And so, so maybe we can, maybe later we can be doing drum making and singing, and it would be nice to be able to have a recording somehow, maybe on a flash drive or something, of Maggie singing just beautiful medicine to share in the bundle across the land.
May I say something?
Yeah, please. I'm going to stop talking now anyway.
I just have this book that I'm doing in school, and these are people that are in Canada, and Leo went and did a vision quest for a song. Leo McCalvary, for a validation song for this book that was to be printed for the school. It's called Growing a Child. Maybe we could go, like, because this is for our group, for the woman, for Voices of Women. Maybe we could see if we could present to somebody that receives songs, that goes out to fast for songs, and maybe there's a song that is meant for just us and not a song that was already learned for and brought into the world already, like into the physical. So maybe they're something just meant for us to grow and continue to do the work that we need to do through the Voices of Women. It's just a suggestion, but I thought it was like, I don't know what he thought, but
We could even create our own song. We all go pray about something, and whatever comes to us. For me, I don't know if we're all grandmothers yet, but for me, a grandmother song is kind of cool. It says Miigwech in it, so it's got to be a Anishinaabe. It was taught to me from an elder here at a women's group that I used to, Positive Women's Network, and it's the grandmother song. So I don't know. I like that idea, starting fresh with
yeah,
something-
well, because,
something.
because it, with this, it's been taken over, and Andrea has only been in this, and she gathered us women together
Mhm.
for this purpose. So because it's new again and just starting out, I think it needs a stamp, the truth, as that's what a song brings, right? Is the truth into these stories that we'll be telling through our voices. And by getting that truth song for the Voices of Women, it'd be more impactful and more meaningful, and it'd be able to stamp, yeah, what that woman is saying is true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the
So,
truth would be everybody has their own truth too. So even if you aren't a grandmother, Claudette could sing about being a kukum in her language. Gail could sing in her language, in Ojibwe, and I think that would be beautiful, because we are meant to be a melting pot. I mean, something I didn't mention earlier was that we were to be across the country, and I think perhaps the intention of the 12 women was that we were supposed to have representation from each province and territory. And while we want to connect with as many and have input on the committee from as many diverse women as we can, that's not generic, right? Like we are serving Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit women. And I'm really working hard. That's the other thing that I wanted to bring up was ribbon skirt making with regard to Inuit women, because it's not, that is not their culture. But like the song, I think that, you know, if we had one of our spots filled by an Inuit woman or wherever, you know, Mi'kmaq women, or, I mean, there's literally hundreds of different nations across this land. So yeah, and so Anne, were you saying that the person that you were talking about was a songwriter, or you just got the inspiration from that book?
No, this guy is, these people that wrote the book, that were putting together this book, it has a QR code in it that you could hear the song that he went,
Okay.
he went out and did a fast, and this song came to him from the spirit world, right? And that's what he does. He's it's, hang on, it says here, where are we? Through our work, I'll just read, through our work on our projects at the University, Blue Quills, we have a relationship with Leo McCalvary. So they're in Alberta, and a man well known in the community for his spiritual connection to the ancestors through song. We met with Leo and talked about a song. He shared his teachings about song and truth with us. During this conversation, Leo echoed that Reg, he's another elder, said about song carrying truth, and that song received from the ancestors guide and search for wisdom. We like you offered him cloth and tobacco was what was the protocol, and he went and did this ceremony, and the ancestors presented that song to him for honoring these people and being able to print this book in truth, because through our Indigenous culture, that's where it all comes from. Like, if something doesn't come with a song, then it isn't the truth. That's what I'm getting from what I'm doing in school. And so it all comes down to, I guess, marking it like the book marks the code trademark on it, you know, and that's the truth for a white man's book, what it's printed on there. So, but we do it with song. We do our stamp with song. And if we could get somebody like Leo, go out and, like, these are women, men, and people from the University, Blue Quills in Edmonton, and they went to and they collected like it, and this elder Leo came and presented this song that was given to them from the ancestor to allow them to let them honor them, that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, I guess.
Thanks, Anne. Charlotte, you have your hand up. Do you want to say something?
Hi. Yeah, you know what? Years ago, I was in line to get an Indian name from our house chief, and I end up declining that only because I had family members in this house that only talked to me during the meeting. or during the feast, but not after all that stuff was done, right? Like when it was just trying to keep in touch, nobody would. But one of the meetings we had was really interesting. They were talking about a song, and they said to like what Anne said, like they fasted, and for us in my culture, from what I understand, there was a fasting and the full moon. See what happens, like what comes through during the full moon. So I don't know if that makes sense too, but I'm pretty connected to the full moon myself. I just love watching that thing, especially when it's a super moon. But if yeah, that's what I learned from going to some house meetings for to get a name, and yeah, I kept they said the song will come. That's what the elder said of our house. The song will come to you.
That's beautiful. I love where this is going. And we have, let's see, well, whether we worked with Leo or maybe somebody else at the Blue Quills, is it? Blue Quills University.
Like,
I even involved Maggie. Maggie is our resident elder. And I just wanted to say that she told me when she has sung across the country over many decades, and in the United States. She's actually, oh my gosh, I can't remember the tribe that she's from in the Eastern United States. But she said she was singing, and the men would always be, she was the only woman that would sing and drum. And they would always be like, first teasing her and then pushing her out of the way. And then, you know, she would sing and she'd smile. She has such a bright spirit. And she said that her, whatever event she was at, this was about 30 years ago. And she said at that time, this lady was literally, she looked like she was 99 years old and she was crying. And she said, don't ever stop singing, because we used to sing when I was a little girl. And then we weren't allowed to sing anymore. The men, you know, through contact in that women's roles, women were displaced. And so, so Maggie said that she would hear the men talking before a powwow or before a gathering, saying, sing this. Maggie won't know this song. And she says, I know every song. There's not a song you can sing that I don't know. And so anyway, maybe there is a way for Maggie to be involved, and maybe there's other experts out there that can help us. But I think that's also would be a beautiful part of like building our group and building the sacred bundle that will be passed on to the next generations when our work is done. And before I say anything else, because Claudette was wrapped up in Zoom, did you want to do the introduction, just because we're recording and we can share this with the people that are absent?
Hello, it's Claudette Cardinal.
Hello, everyone.
Everybody don't know that, but it's me. What else do you want to know? I'm just glad that we're all meeting here today. And I love the idea of the ribbon skirt and the journey of each of us sisters. Like, it reminds me of, it takes me back to the island. Charlotte, you might know about the viral monologues. Remember when the entity of women living with HIV was created at AIDS Vancouver Island? It's kind of the same concept, but it's a more, we had even a rap that when we were speaking. So it was a representation of all the women that were part of the viral monologues, and it sounds exactly the same. The vision of the skirt is just like, yeah, it's so cool. And the part about the travel or the thingy for the scholarship, I already have one. It's been pending and I was awarded that in 2020. I was a real keener that year because 2020, it's my numbers 20, right? April 20th. So I was a real keener that year in the office at the BC Center for Excellence, and I was awarded ISA scholarship and membership, and I was awarded car as well, and that's been put off and shifted over. So I just wanted to share that I do have a scholarship for the International AIDS Society. So and that, loving the ideas so far. Thank you.
That's awesome. I didn't realize that it had been deferred from 2020 to now. That's so great. Oh, so you don't even need that letter of reference. You're good.
I'll keep it as my folder. You just got to change the butt out of there. Other than that, it was fine.
Okay. And for those people that haven't finished their, I don't know if people that aren't here today are on it or not, I'm not sure, but for everyone that's here, 3 p.m. Ontario time on Monday is when the applications for scholarships close. And so if you haven't finished that, I know I'm working with a couple of you, need to finish it, and we need to talk if you need help. But more on the ribbon skirt thing. So, and the Inuit women, what I was going to say is, I know we all want to make ribbon skirts for ourselves, but we're also, I think, in agreement that making a skirt first for VOW to be our first collective effort on skirt making. And they're going to get better as they go. So if you save making your own skirt till a little bit later down, your skirt might be even better in terms of your vision and how you want it to look. But my other idea was, because we don't have Inuit women yet in our group, that we maybe, and then our second thing is we collectively make a skirt to present to an Inuit community. And maybe we can even deliver it, who knows? But that's what I'm thinking. I would love to hear your thoughts, but first, I know, Anne, you have your hand raised. And
So with the ribbon skirt for VOW, do we do our own design? Like each and every one of us think of whatever they want to do for VOW and how they see VOW on a skirt. That way we have to choose, and then you could say, this is how strong each and every one of the women are, right? I don't know. I know when you have ribbon skirts and that and you're representing something, it's all made the same, but because I don't know if ribbon skirts were made for VOW before, and from what I got out of it, we all have to do one, and we don't have a design yet for it, right? So we could all design our own, the way we want to put VOW integrated into the skirt. Like my mind already start going crazy, and I don't even know if I could do that craziness on a skirt, but is that something that could be put out there?
well, okay, so what I'm thinking is we need to get the teachings, right? And then we can do the design. Let's get the teachings. And the VOW skirt would be one skirt that each one of us put something onto and into that skirt, whether it's like you're doing, I guess here in BC, we're going to be doing the basic construction of the skirt and then sending it to Manitoba with Harriet. And then you can finish, that skirt. So we can get on Zoom in the meantime and talk about what we think will work, what we think won't work. And we can have someone like Harriet saying, reining us in or not. But first, let's get the teachings. And then let's, and so I'm thinking one skirt to begin with, and then our second skirt being for the Inuit community, or maybe we wait and we do our own skirt next where everyone can do what they think. But I mean, I know you, Anne, and you're going to you have a whole story going, because I've seen your
we can envision everybody's story and put their story on the skirt and how we got, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so it's one skirt and it's going to be a collective. It's something from everyone on the one skirt. And then if you want to tell your whole story, like Anne's story about her skirt is just blows me away. I was actually thinking I didn't include that or volunteer your skirt to be on display, but there's such a beautiful story there that maybe you want to bring your skirt to Montreal and have it on display.
I could do that, yeah.
But
And then I could maybe write up a little something and put it beside it. That way I don't have to tell it to each person that comes looking at it. And then, oh wait, somebody else is coming. I have to start over again.
Or you just have a little plaque there, right? Like it's standing there, your skirt's on display, and just have that piece there. So then it's right there, right?
There you go, Andrea. Get on that little plaque.
I don't think it has to be a double-sided plaque for you, Anne.
Or one as big as a skirt.
Yeah. It's going to be like the AIDS memorial wall on both sides.
Yeah.
A big story. But I mean, and then we're thinking, okay, July, if we're going to bring our own personal skirts, it means we've got a lot of skirt making to be doing. If we do our first skirt together, and then maybe we could bring the second skirt, we could start here again and then bring it to Wise Practices. So the BC women could be working on a second skirt to gift to the Inuit women, and then we can, at Wise Practices, which is sharing knowledge, we can share we have the actual physical skirt that we're working on, and we have a group of others that can contribute their gift to Inuit women, because there'll be many more people there to contribute to Inuit women. And the skirt could just be that much more amazing with all of that. And then we've got some skills, and then we are busily making our own skirts. And the big part of the research part of it on, again, the title being Decolonizing Healthcare. So I think at our next meeting, what I'm hoping to do is I have put together a bunch of stuff on decolonizing and healthcare, and we can talk about that, at our next meeting.
So this skirt is going to be traveling from province to province, and something else new is going to be put on it?
No.
Or no?
No, we'll start both skirts in BC if we go this route. And maybe we'll just do a vote at the end of this. But one for the VOW Sacred Bundle, and then we send it to Manitoba and you all work on it at Gales together. And then meanwhile, we'll be starting a second skirt for Inuit women here. And we bring that to Wise Practices in Winnipeg, which is a national event. So there'll be people coming nationally. And if we're doing a presentation, a workshop on skirt making, and say this one is going to be gifted to Inuit women, people that are attending that conference and workshop, Wise Practices, can physically do it at the workshop, right? And leave their signature per se, like whatever that is. The other thing that Elder Albert told me that he felt was important and is as part of our abstract is our skirt making is going to incorporate the red ribbon, the AIDS red ribbon. And so as many beautiful ways that you can think about incorporating the red ribbon, the better. I don't think there's any limits on that. And yeah, thanks, Melissa. I see you made a comment here. What Winiska's coming to Wise Practices. That's great, because I'm hoping to connect with the Winiska team and see where we have synergy. When we do our own skirt making, we're going to be looking for some funding. So anyone thinks that they can point us in the direction so we can have funding in time to start doing our own personal skirts, then please let me know so that I can get on that quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, I get emails sometimes for call outs for funding that may be appropriate, so maybe one will come up soon.
That'd be awesome, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think otherwise, what I have talked about funding from Margaret, but the personal skirts may have to be funded, like buying your own fabric, etc. Of course, we pay for the training and you pay for your own supplies. However, when your skirt is done and you have your written reflection to share, answering the questions with regard that are in the project proposal and our abstract, then we could perhaps give an honorarium for that. So I don't know what your thoughts are. It's a little bit of an incentive to get the skirt done in time for July and the reflection done in time and get your skirt paid for.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm willing to buy my own sewing machine. So once I move, I'm hoping to have room because my plan was to buy a sewing machine and learn this. So this is just fabulous. It falls into like the Indigenous methodologies that I wanted to learn. I think it's fabulous. I'm in the capacity to pay for my own supplies for that, for my personal stuff. But the sound of an honorarium is beautiful.
Right. A little incentive to get your homework done for the conference. So, although Anne doesn't want to hear the word homework.
No, not at
You're
all.
You're homeworked out. So
But
what
hey, I could ask when that the healing teacher or whatever she is, the wellness teacher, I could ask my people at the school for what they know about ribbon skirts and all this stuff. Like I kind of know, but I could get more detailed and I could get more information. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, because I think I mean, I just vision how beautiful it is. I mean, VOW is a sacred group and you're all sacred people, of course. And having those sacred teachings passed on to us and then doing ceremony and actually doing the skirt making is powerful. And part of our mandate is to engage with other communities and networks. So I was actually thinking that if I stayed longer after Wise Practices, that maybe we could do something in Winnipeg in the community, whether it's going into a facility like I guess it wouldn't be able to be a penitentiary, but maybe just a minimum security jail where we could share the teachings with other Indigenous women who would need that medicine and
You
that
do
it could
something
be
at
helpful.
Elizabeth Fry.
That would be great, Melissa. So let's talk more about that because I want to sort of develop a plan where we can build on what we can do in Winnipeg. And
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
Fry
think
really needs some stuff like that. Yeah.
okay,
yeah,
Neil
we
and Bern were
do,
talking about that.
in all the ones that are going because I even stayed in JF Norwood House in Ottawa, and their house for women that get out of federal federal prison really don't have stuff like that happening, and there are a lot of mostly natives that are in that home, and I think if they had more structure like this incorporated in doing something like this would be such a big impact on them because they're just getting out of jail. They're just trying to learn how to function in the real world again, right?
yes,
And by teaching them something through the native cultural and that, I think it'd be a big impact and show them that there's something out there for them, and maybe even guide them back to their culture or something, right?
Yeah. Well, as we're getting these teachings, like already we've talked about cedar bathing. Melissa's getting those teachings. We're teachings on traditional ribbon skirt making. What was the other one?
Ceremonies.
Moon ceremonies and singing, songwriting. So we can offer those workshops, and that's my vision, is that we are able to then host stuff sometimes in person, but to have the bigger impact also virtually. So we can, if you have connections or you have, you know, not necessarily even connected, but you have suggestions of where this could resonate and land, where we can do a workshop for those people, and give them some resources with which to do it. I mean, we can
I think
do
we should,
fundraising for them. Go ahead.
I think we should go for funding for something to be able to like give us, like teach us the methodology so that we can teach others, you know, and share that knowledge amongst our peers and community, because you know it's going to die if we don't continue teaching these on, right? And holistic healing is really, you know, a strong suit, and that's where you know it lies in the Indigenous culture. Yeah.
That's why I think it's so important that we learn it from an elder who has those sacred teachings. Charlotte, I know your hand's been up for a few minutes while I was going on there. I don't know if you're still there.
Yeah, I am. I have a question. Is there when do we need the materials by for our own skirt? Because I belong to some Facebook sites when I lived in New Westminster, and some people would give away material like for free, like they give it, that's what it was for, to give it away. And is there a certain kind of material we need? Because I could keep an eye out for that, or I could even put a request for material for us as for the BC women. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for your own personal skirts, I don't really know. I would imagine like March or April. We'd have to do it before Harriet leaves for Winnipeg, and she goes and spends her summers in Winnipeg. She's a sun dancer, and she goes, you know, to Winnipeg for the powwows and everything. That is, I forget which nation she lives on. Oh my gosh.
So I could start asking now for different material, because a lot of people, when the pandemic first hit, they were buying up materials for mask making and stuff. You know what I mean? And now that some people aren't using all that material, and I could ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. It won't cost a thing.
Right, and ribbon too, of course, a red ribbon in particular. We're going to be incorporating the red ribbon into all of the skirts, so that would be great. And
could also
I don't
write up
know
a requisition or something to the like the big places that handles materials and that, because I know a treatment center in Edmonton that went and did a requested to see if they had any from um, Sleeping Body or something like that, and they got like boxes on top of boxes for this powwow that they're doing for the giveaway. So if we could even go to big companies that just handles materials and give them like tell them the story
like
why
going
we
to
need
Fabricland or Dress
and
You or
let them know
something.
the story why we need material and ribbon and needles and measuring tapes and all this stuff, and just let them know maybe they could donate right to the cause.
Yeah, I thought of that too. And whether it's like, I can write a letter, like a sponsorship letter that everyone takes on their
Yeah.
own, or we do a collective ask like in BC and Manitoba, because that's the other thing, as I was mentioning before, we're meant to be, I think, well, we're a national group, but with COVID, et cetera, and the division of our land, the division by province and territory, as Margaret has said, is a colonial way. It's a colonial way of thinking. And so I don't think it's a bad thing. I thought it could actually work really well that we have our group in BC and we have our group in Manitoba. That's not to say that we don't have more women on the committee. And of course, we do want to touch women in every single province and territory and impact them with our learnings and help them on their healing journeys. So I think, yeah, I think those are all really good suggestions. I
So-
see
so
that
with-
Debbie Cardinal has just logged in.
Yeah, she did. Hi, Debbie. I do have a question. So with that letter, that if you want to send me a copy, a few copies, I wouldn't mind walking around and checking out some stores for us. But I could also use that letter on that Facebook site. And you never know, right? You never know. We it's a hit and miss, and at least it's worth a try.
Yes, and so I think that first things first, we need to get the teachings. We need the elder to tell us where we begin. She can hear what it is that we want, but we have to hear what how we go about this in a good way. And then, yeah, I like your thinking though, Charlotte, because time's a wasting, right?
Time is
We're
going
only in
fast.
January, but it's going to be summer and we're going to be in Montreal before you know it. So there's a lot of sewing to be done and a lot of learning to be done before then.
Okay, so when you do talk to the elder and ask the direction, I'm always up to go walk and check out these places and post it on these Facebook sites.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So when we make our own skirt, are we gonna get the because we're gonna be making it as a group skirt, right, for VOW, and like what's gonna be put on it? Like, are you gonna make up a design or whatever that's gonna be placed on top of the skirt, like other people have, like how
I think
Karen
we're going to get the guidance from the elder first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about that. And just because Debbie's just logged in, Debbie, I am recording because there is a number of people that we're going to be late, and Gail's phone crashed, so she's not able to be on. She's out and about, and some people who aren't able to be here today. So you'll be able to catch up with the recording as to all we talked about. We started, almost started, but we, early in the meeting, we did a round of intros. So you'd be able to listen to the intros from all of the women that are here. And if you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to just say hello and introduce yourself or whatever, you can decline too. But if you want to just have the opportunity to say hi, the floor is yours.
You're on mute, Debbie. You're on mute.
Andrea, you can't unmute her?
No, you're not able to unmute someone. You have to ask them. And so I've asked her to unmute. Debbie, if you look to the left, I don't know if you're on a phone or a laptop, if you're able to, let me see, to look, hold on. I'll look on my phone and see what it looks like.
If you're on your phone, Debbie, click your screen and then the video mute button and everything will pop up, and then just unmute yourself.
Hi.
There we go.
Yeah, I just had to turn it up. I don't like looking at myself, but I look okay. Hi. My name is Debbie Cardinal. My spirit name is Walking Turtle Woman. I got that years ago. I'm from Heart Lake First Nations in Edmonton, Alberta. Well, Northern Alberta. I'm Cree. I also live in the West End in Vancouver and I've lived here 8 years in the same place, but 12 years in the city. I've took a lot of training regarding PRAs, and I'm really involved with my culture. I'm really connected. I'm on the Red Road. I have been for the last 7.5 years. I just came from a job interview, so I'm just kind of excited about that. So I don't know what else to say. It's just that I'm really happy that I'm part of this committee, and you'll get to know me. I'm really fun. I have a sense of humor. I really love my culture. I love my people. I love women, Indigenous women, and I really stand up for what I believe in, and I'm looking forward to working or just being with you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. I also just smoked a joint, so pardon me. Thank you, sisters. Thank you so much.
Love your truth. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a relation. Mitakias and hi. Hi.
Hi, Debbie. Sounds like you had a good interview, so that's super exciting.
My face is so fat. Sorry. I'm gonna do something here. Oh shit. Where'd you guys go?
Here, I can mute you. There you go. Yeah, so that's kind of the gist of everything. I think, like I say, we're not going to talk about all of the events, but you all should be able to see. Debbie, I'll send you the recording after. But you know what we're looking at for the year, and it's going to be busy. We're going to be busy, and we're going to have opportunities to come together, and it's going to be amazing. This is a sisterhood that I think is just going to flourish, and those vibrations are going to go into the communities. I'm so excited, so excited. I'm going to have a quick look at my PowerPoint to see if there's anything else. Nope. So next steps. I'm going to talk to Elder Harriet Prince. And if you have any other elders that you know have the sacred teachings of ribbon skirt making, especially here in BC, when I talked to Harriet about doing the actual workshop with the VOW group in BC, starting in BC, she said we should do it. She likes the idea of doing it at my place because I'm close to her, and her apartment is very, very tiny. And unfortunately, I mean, Claudette is probably the furthest away from me because I'm in White Rock, near Semiahmoo. Well, I'm on Semiahmoo territory. So, but I mean, hopefully it will be worth it for us to have a day together, and I can cook some food. And we can just be together and with our elder and get busy. So yeah, if you have any other elders that you would like to include, please let me know sooner rather than later so that we can figure that out. But
Maybe Albert even has teachings on ribbon skirts, because like he makes ribbon skirts, and he makes like he made Gail her jingle dress and everything. So maybe he has teachings on ribbon skirts as well.
yeah, so Albert, I have asked him whether he would be our he's a resident elder of Cannes, and I've asked whether he would oversee us in this, in the bigger process. And so
Okay.
he's not going to be doing the teachings with us in person, but maybe doing them online, because Harriet, bless her heart, I mean, she's, I told you she's from a First Nation in Manitoba. She's in her 80s, and she's more very young in her mind and very spry. She loves to be busy. So she's really excited about doing this, but she doesn't want to do things over Zoom. And so we are going to need to have some teachings on ribbon skirt making before we meet with Harriet in person. And if she's not willing to do that over Zoom, I was thinking that I would say, Harriet, I'll just come to your house and you don't even need to be on camera. I'll just sort of, you know, we could just make it that you and I are having some tea together, and you could share your teachings in a really informal way over Zoom, so that it's not just you sitting in a room looking at the computer and feeling strange about it. And if she doesn't want to do that, I was going to ask Albert if he would do, give us a foundation of teaching over Zoom, because he's very used to Zoom, as you all know. Probably just as fed up with it as we all are, though, too. So he'll be like, oh, okay, fine. I'll think about it. But yeah, I like your thinking. I think we have a pretty solid way to go. And then in these early days, I feel like depending on the elders' availability, whether we should meet again next week and whether we should, or the following week. And I think I had checked with everyone, and Fridays were good, but apparently maybe not so good. I know that on a Friday, it's sometimes a very tiring day to be on Zoom on a Friday afternoon, but afternoons are best just because Anna's in school full time and she's in Manitoba. So this is like, you're 2 hours ahead for us.
Fridays always also work the best for me, but just be aware that my job, sometimes I do have to work evenings, so I may not be available for every meeting.
Right. So my question is then, should we see about meeting again next Friday, or to get teachings from an elder, or maybe the following week on the Friday? Should we have a vote? Let me see if I can do a poll here.
I don't mind next week.
You don't mind next week?
No, 4 o'clock's good. This time was good. Like at least even if I'm in school, I could get home in time for this meeting, right?
Okay, so we'll say 4 o'clock Winnipeg time, next Friday. And that's contingent on elder being available. Does everyone in favor want to raise their hand then? Charlotte and Debbie, are you good with next Friday? Cool. Debbie? If she gets her new job.
Next Friday, same time, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, and we can come on again 15 minutes early if you want to do the social thing.
Social butterfly.
Be a social butterfly and just chat about whatever. I'll have the tea kettle on and I'll pour you a virtual cup of tea.
Okay.
Debbie can smoke a virtual joint with us, and We all have virtual things we can do. Try to
And
connect.
Claudette saying, blow it my way.
Okay. So anything else that anyone wants to add? I know we covered a lot of stuff. The last thing that I'm going to do, unless somebody says otherwise, is play our closing song that I had set up. And luckily I had something set up because Gail is not able to get back in. Debbie, is your hand up from before, or do you want to say something now? If you don't, you can just lower your hand. Or you can unmute and talk if you want. Okay. I'm assuming you don't want to say anything. So I'm going to share my screen again so we can see.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, I'm all good. I'm just trying to figure out chat thing on thing, but I'm all good for next week at 4. And yeah.
2 o'clock your time, 4 o'clock Winnipeg time, because half
Okay.
our girls are in Winnipeg.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, cool.
All right, unmute me now. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to share this.
Strong Woman song was given to us by, I forget now who. This was way back, maybe 40 years ago, maybe. Can't remember, but we always sang it at the prison. I used to work at the prisons all across Canada. And we used to sing that. We used to sing that song in the prison. And I took it there, and the women sing it. One time, when the women were having a hard time in there, they were in the sweat, and they got taken out of the sweat, and they were standing all together in a circle, and they started singing the Strong Woman song.
Oh, wow.
And that was beautiful. Some of these days I could tell you the whole story, but it's a long story.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yes, it's good
That
song.
was
Yes, I know that.
good.
I know that song.
Boy, her voice is really, wow, it just pumps right out. Her lungs are beautiful. Wow,
She has a beautiful voice, hey?
really.
Yes.